DreamHack Open is brought to you by Corsair, Monster Energy, Esport Management, and GGBet.
Bonjour tout le monde! We are live from Tour France for the DreamHack Open. It is the day of the grand final, and we cannot wait to find out who's going to be taking the trophy home and $50,000. It's going to be very exciting. We have 4 incredible teams remaining: Mousesports, G2, Avangard, and Valiant. My name is Frankie Ward, and before we get started, I have to say a massive thank you to Corsair, Sports Management, and Monster Energy. They, of course, are our fabulous sponsors. And I have to say a massive bonjour to our magnifique analysts. They are Blair and Potter. Bonjour, salut, how are you?
Bonjour, bonjour.
Yeah, same, what you said.
Yeah. Shall I teach you some French? A little?
Oui.
Oui.
So we would say, comment ça va? I say we would say, I'm not French. The French would say, comment ça va, Potter?
Wow, she's identifying herself as French.
Tout bien?
And you say,
No.
yeah, très bien.
Très bien.
Very good. That's what Shock said when we did the interview with him yesterday.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Wunderbar.
That's German.
That's German.
Yeah.
That's
We're mixing it up
maybe
here.
DreamHack Open next year. So the 4 teams we have in the final, they're the teams we expected to see, really, Blair, aren't they?
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise to see Valiance, to be honest, but I think they were literally the other team, apart from Windigo, who I would expect to make it. Great performance from them. I'm looking forward to see them play today because it's best of 3s now, and now they're going to be facing off against teams who are going to be ready for them, right? So if you look at it, all things considered, I think it is. These are the usual favorites. We have G2 finally waking up yesterday, showing what they can really do when they get going. We have, of course, Avangard as well and Mousesports. So the usual suspects.
For sure. I'm definitely looking forward to Valiance as well. At DreamHack Rio, they had kind of a shaky start and they got knocked out a little bit early. But the other day, 2 days ago, when they played their matches, they had such a strong, explosive start. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they bring that momentum today and see if they can pull out some wins. Frankie, what are you doing with that
Désolée,
champagne?
madame, je ne coupe pas parce que ils m'ont bébé. C'est le champagne. Champagne, however you say, comment ça dit, champagne. I've been waiting for this all weekend. I've been waiting for my date avec Charles du Cour France. Apparently it's very special. It's busy, and literally as I do this, producer Dagny is in my ear going, no, not yet. Not yet. It's not fair. You cannot invite me. Look, I'm dressed like a knockoff Kate Moss from the 90s, and she drank loads of this down the Met Bar, and that is a reference you kids at home need to go to Wikipedia for. It was all the rage in the 90s, I tell you. I'm too young to remember that, obviously. I'm just really nostalgic, okay, for a time I didn't live during. Anyway, right, I'll put that down. Apparently, we might get to drink it later. But that's only if we do a good job, and by that I mean if I do a good job. And I'll be sure to share it with you if I'm allowed to pop that cork. Now, yesterday, a couple of our teams didn't play, Valiant and Avangard, but Mouse and G2 really had to fight their way through. And are you surprised at how hard they had to fight? Because actually, in the case of G2, they didn't necessarily fight that hard in the second game against French Frogs, did they, Potter?
No, they didn't. And, you know, a good storyline for G2 is that progression. I mean, they were a little bit shaky to start this tournament off, but yesterday they showed us a brand new G2, and it's always that question mark with this team, which side of G2 is going to show up on that day. So it's going to be very interesting to see which G2 we see today here for the semifinal.
Yeah, I mean, look at the first map against Ghost, right? They lost 16-13. That was a big shocker right there. But then they managed to bring it back. They won the other 2 maps very convincingly. Then coming against French Frogs in the rematch, first map, nuke, complete whitewash. They stomped French Frogs. We're like, yeah, they got this in the bag. Then we saw Inferno 0-9 down, and then they woke up again. So it's like, it's so hard to predict this team, right? But like Shock said yesterday, I'm going to repeat what he mentioned on the interview. We just need to remember who we are. And I think that's what they need to remember today for them to at least reach the grand finals.
Well, here is the playoff bracket. So as you can see, we've got Avangard versus Mouse coming up first, and then Valiance versus G2. Now, Avangard versus Mouse, when I first looked at the teams, I thought this is going to be our grand final. And here they are. I guess it's because obviously Mouse shockingly didn't go through as the top seed from Group A.
Yeah, that was the big upset, right? Because of Valiance's 2 best-of-1. I wouldn't really say complete upsets, but that was some pretty impressive wins coming out from those guys. Looking at these brackets and looking at some of the few DreamHack Opens I've seen in the past, this is one of the most stacked playoff brackets I've ever seen, right? You're talking about all 4 teams are top 20 teams, if I'm not mistaken, and you have Mouse Sports have a thing to prove. You have G2 as well, who are looking to solidify their presence in the scene, so to speak, right? They are on an upward trajectory, but they don't want to have these hiccups and lose in a tournament like this where they should be winning or at least reaching the finals. And then you have Avangard, currently reigning DreamHack Open champions from Rio, and of course we have Valiance, who are definitely make an impact as well. I'm excited. I'm really excited about today.
I am very excited, and I'm extra excited right now because, Potter, you've got 3 reasons, and they're all related to that first match, aren't they?
Yes, I've got 3 reasons why, and this is 3 reasons why this series should be a banger. And with reason number 1 is because Avangard won DreamHack Rio, and they're defending champions. They even attended CIS LAN and won that as well, so they're back-to-back champions on LAN, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep that form up. Reason number 2 is Mouse Sports team, they were built for success. They were built to be the best in the world, and so this is a huge test for them and their roster as a new team to see if they can actually solidify their place at the top teams in the world. And reason number 3 is this is the first time these lineups have actually faced each other, so I expect to see a lot of gimmicky plays. They don't really have a pattern that they figured out on each other, so this should be a very interesting series.
I never even thought about point number 3. That's super interesting, Potter. Blair, considering these teams haven't faced each other before, how will they prepare? Is it simply a case of watching demos?
It's also watching demos, and I know we don't have the map vetoes yet, but that is going to be extremely crucial here because obviously we saw what Carrigan was up to yesterday, right? He had that surprise nuke pick coming in, which I think caught everyone by surprise, and he showed he can play on that map pretty darn well. That T-side was the best T-side I've seen on nuke, at least in this tournament. And then kind of Astralis-esque, at the same time a little bit free-flowing, like a classic Carrigan style of calling as well. So it was very fun to watch. And then we saw Overpass, where they were just going all out as well. So this is a team who right now with a nuke pick don't necessarily have any permaban. They literally can play any map in the map pool, apart from Vertigo, which I would assume they'd be working on for the future. But apart from that map, I think they can play everything here.
For sure, and definitely free-flowing indeed. I mean, we saw on Nuke yesterday, Frozen just full-on rushing down to that secret hall with just the 2 smokes, while the rest of the Mouse players were ready to do a contact play on that upper and connector side with a really nice crush on that upper site. So these kinds of plays, I think, is really going to disrupt Avangard. Avangard is known for their slower, methodical, very calculated play. I mean, we saw in Dust 2, they saved so many rounds, and James is known for having the least amount of deaths always in the server. So that's a testament to very calculated. I mean, they don't want to take very many risks, and I think Mouse Sports playstyle is really going to make things spicy.
All right, then let's talk maps. Let's do map predictions because you know I love them. I'm thinking that we're going to see Mirage from Avangard. I think we're going to see Overpass from Mouse, and then Inferno as the decider. Blair, you think I'm wrong, right?
No, I think it's pretty close, right? Nuke and Dust 2 are going to be banned out unless I'm very much mistaken here. Nuke's going to be banned by Avangard. It's a usual permaban, and it's a map they saw them play yesterday, so Nuke should be banned out by Avangard. I'm a little surprised about his Vertigo ban coming out from Mouse early on, because I think they're scared that Avangard might just go for a surprise pick. So that means that's a nuke ban. So that means Avangard can pick Dust 2. I think that's the map they have the biggest chance of beating Mouse. For Mouse, they can pretty much pick anything they want. I think I'm expecting to see Overpass coming out here from Mouse, but no, Train, that's smart as well. That's the usual second ban coming in from Avangard, and the fact that they've gone for this Train pick is pretty cool. The thing is, though, Avangard aren't exactly nobody's on this map side, on this map either. They can play it. Mouse are definitely favorites, and that's the thing. When it comes to the map pool, this is always going to favor Mouse, because if you look at any of these maps they've played, they have been the better team, so to speak, in all of them.
There's that Dust 2 pick, which, as you mentioned, Blair, should look well for Avangard, especially because Mouse Sports looked a little weaker on it yesterday. Yeah. However, they had a good T-side approach. It was their CT side that we really didn't get to see much of because they lost so many rounds in a row. However, they never really got into it. So if today they're able to start off strong on that CT side and rack up some points and figure out a better game plan going into today, I don't think it's going to be quite as easy for Avangard as they might hope.
Overpass ban. That's a little surprising, but that means Mirage is going to be coming out as a final decider, and that makes sense. That makes kind of sense because these are Mirage is the one map which is the favorite of both these teams, right? We know Mousesports love playing Mirage. We know Avangard love playing it. If it comes down to Mirage, we're going to be seeing all the rounds, all the OT rounds, going all the way down to the wire. And yeah, I'm expecting to see one hell of a series. Like you mentioned, Potter, it's going to be a banger.
It definitely will be. I think Train is going to be the closest Mousesports. I just saw them playing online, and their Train looked so strong. They had so many set pieces, so many different varieties of their approach to that inner bomb site and that outside bomb site. But Avangard, Train, Op, Jame. I mean, all these combinations work so well for Avangard. Jame does not miss his shots ever. So this should be a very interesting match for sure.
I just thought Mouse were going to ban Dust 2. I thought they were going to ban it. I didn't think they were going to ban Vertigo. I wrote it down right here.
I wrote it down that they're going to ban Dust 2, but the Vertigo ban
they
makes sense.
They can't afford to ban Dust 2, though. I mean...
Yeah, that's a cool thing about this Mouse lineup. With the fact that Nuke suddenly came as a surprise pick coming in yesterday, how good they are, they can play anything right now. So Vertigo, they're like, yeah, we're not going to take any chances on a map like this, especially in an open where they want to, solidify their, their ranking, so to speak. They're going to take that map out. They can play everything else. And here's the interesting thing about these three maps. Dust 2, Mirage, and Train. These are the three maps we're going to be seeing today, right? And these are all maps which favor dual op setups. Chris J and Woxic, that's going to be a spicy meatball.
I was going to say, Jame versus Woxic is going to be amazing.
Don't forget Chris J. Don't forget
Chris J, of course. Do you think we're going to see some Force Wires and some Scouts coming out on Mirage?
Absolutely,
course,
absolutely. And the one thing I love, I mentioned this on day one as well, Woxic going off with that op on Dust 2 is one of the most beautiful things in Counter-Strike. I can't wait to see it. And if that happens, Avangard are in for a very rough time.
This is going to be such an exciting series, but we need to find out how our teams got to this point. Here is an exclusive video detailing their road to the semi-finals.
We just won the last DreamHack in Rio de Janeiro, and all my teammates are really confident for this moment, and we really want to win this tournament because we can beat them all, but they also can beat us.
We've been together since 1st of April, and I feel like people is really putting in the hard work and dedication that is required. When we come here, we of course come to win. It's expected of us to win this tournament. Of course not going to be easy.
Shimmy his way across to the back boxes. Now Sanji can make a move in. Just in time for Kusta to connect. He does have a kit. There's a smoke there. He's so desperately hoping this player peeks. He's approached the full defuse, and Sanji one digging round the corner. Again, indecision coming to the forefront. Jane picking up the scraps. They line up. Nearly gets a 2-for-1. But it's so stalled, it's so stagnant, and it's so easy for a Vanguard.
Up for a full buy. They kind of just been going for broke every round.
Rushing through the Molotov with a smoke, but the bomb goes down first. Here comes Karrigan. 3 more kills to his name. Betraying him right now. And of course, who else but Karrigan to stand tall and deliver a final blow. Gonna catch this player in the back with a deagle. We saw a nightmare yesterday. He got CS:GO'd fully. There's nothing wrong about that. Shank between the shoulder blades. He is taking all of the risks, and he will get the reward. What a play from Karrigan.
We're playing these teams because these are the teams we're gonna face in the minor. That's also why we went here to DreamHack Tours, to prove ourselves like as a favorite, to actually be able to win against these teams here. I hope the game today is gonna be in our favor, and we're gonna crush it.
Woxic, let's play some good Counter-Strike without all op.
I am really excited that we got to see that incredible Karrigan clutch on Overpass again in that Rio. And so, Potter, can you talk us through what happened there? Because we didn't get much of a chance to talk through it yesterday.
Yes, so that clutch, the reason why it was so spectacular to watch is because Karrigan had 20 HP, he had a Scout and a Deagle in a 1 versus 2 scenario. The chances of him winning this round are slim to none already. So he gets spotted in A, runs all the way back to B, and we talk about mobility in this game all the time and why it's so important. And it's so important because it creates more opportunities for you to mind game your opponents, and that's exactly what Karrigan did. Went all the way to the B bomb site, but instead of planting the bomb, which 9 out of 10 players would do in this scenario, to gain a little bit of an advantage, some money in your bank, but Karrigan throws the smoke, fakes that he's in the site, pushes towards that CT spawn, and he knows exactly where his opponents are. And the way he plants the bomb and plays, because usually it's planted for that CT spawn, you're expecting your opponent to be covering the bomb, but Karrigan alphas his opponent and hides behind that flower pot, doesn't peek at all, even after the diffuse noise. And man, he really outplayed his opponents. And that sort of creativity and pulling out those kinds of clutch wins are something we don't see very often in this competitive landscape. But Kerrigan busted it out, and it was such a pleasure to watch.
Do you think we're going to see much creativity from Avangard today, Blair?
Absolutely. They're one team who every time I see them play against an opponent of a higher caliber, they seem to kind of elevate their game. They seem to try to throw all these cool little things, right? Like, if I think it was Steele or James who mentioned after Ghost lost to them on Dust 2, I think it was James who was like, that was some crazy smokes they were throwing towards that A-short area, towards elevator, like you mentioned, Potter, where you're just mixing things up, making things very uncomfortable. And it's going to be a contrasting style, it's going to be a clash of two contrasting styles of Counter-Strike. Avangard with a rock-solid, very measured approach to the game, and Kerrigan, free-flowing, smart, out-thinking, out-gaming things. It's just going to be fun.
For sure, and talking about creativity on Avangard, I got to mention Kickert. There he is on your screen right now. He had such an impactful series against Ghost, and the reason he's able to be so good is whenever there's a smoke, I notice Kickert is always lurking around that smoke, hiding and looking for those kills, and it seems like every kill that Kickert brings for Avangard's side are those impact kills, the kills that are really going to turn the favor of the round in your favor.
But they've only played 2 best-of-1s here in Tour, and they have trouble closing out games. So actually, could this be 2 very long maps, but still a 2-0 for Mouse?
It could very well be. I'm going to say that it is going to be favoring Mouse here. We could definitely go to a third map and whatnot, but it is definitely not going to be a stomp. It is going to be much more closer. And for Avangard, the problem with this team is when they have the advantage, when they have their foot on the throat of their opponents, they don't really stomp down hard enough or fast enough, and they got to do that against Mousesports. You give them a little bit of an opening, you allow them to get back into the game, they're going to come on back, and they're just going to mount that comeback because they have the pedigree, they have the experience, they have all of that going for them. So if you give them a chance to come back into the game, like they did to Ghost as well, it could come and be a problem for Avangard here.
For sure, and I don't know how much of a factor this is going to play, but Avangard had a day off yesterday, right? And Mousesports, they played all day, and they had to really grind out some of those rounds, and so that should bode well for Mousesports. And on the other side of things, did the break help Avangard reset their mentality, or is it going to make them have a slow start today? That's definitely something that I'm curious about.
Well, a team that really got their heads back into the game after a disappointing day one was Mousesports, and there we see Robin Cool. Is he a key component of success today for Mouse?
The interesting thing about Robs is when it came into this lineup, he was kind of billed as this young superstar coming in and whatnot. I think he's no longer like the player who's been set up to be this monster, right? He's been kind of comparatively a little quiet here and there. But I think he's really, like, this team under Kerrigan seems to have fallen into the right slots, the right spots. It's not one player having to drop a 40 bomb or 30 bomb like Oscar used to do back in the day, or Chris J used to have his day. It's not that. It's everyone putting in their work. Even Kerrigan as well, for out-fragging even his own teammates if you look at the games yesterday, right? So I think it's pretty cool to see all the players really performing well, and they don't need to overperform. Just them performing and doing their job at the right level they're expected to do, that's enough. That's enough of a win condition.
Absolutely, and Robs is always set up in those veteran positions, and what I mean by veteran positions is he's generally solo. He's generally going to be alone, and it's going to be up to him to move his teammates around the map dependent on his communication. So he plays alone at B, he plays alone in multiple spots on T and CT side, and that's because he has that. He's one of the long-standing members on this team.
That's actually a very good point. I mean, like you mentioned, these are spots that you players like, for example, Crims from Fnatic, right? These are more tenured players who are more used to playing solo sides and playing it around. And look at Robs' age. He's been around for a while in Mousesports, but he's still goddamn young. He's like 18 or 19, right? And he's playing with so much of a veteran understanding of the game, which, let's be honest, it only comes unless you're a simple or some of these freaks of nature. It takes years for you to learn these things, instill this inside of you.
It definitely does. And Kerrigan mentioned yesterday in that interview how lucky he is to have a player like Frozen, who's only 16, and he's able to have developed such a game sense and a high CS IQ. And that is rare, and that's something we rarely see in this scene. And he has 2 of them. He has them in Robs and Frozen, and even Woxic. So Kerrigan is definitely one of the luckier in-game leaders that we have in our scene.
Well, head-to-head head-to-head there, Blair. You picked Jaime and Karrigan, the IGLs of each team, but who has the edge?
Well, if you just match them up, the reason I picked these two, obviously, because yes, they are the IGLs, and they're also going to be the two most crucial factors in whichever team comes out on top. One would expect to say Woxic or some of the other star players like Kickert, but Jaime, right? The primary opper, the in-game leader, the brains behind the solid style of Counter-Strike that Avangard have. And he's also, not just that, he's like in-game leader, main opper, the star player, everything. He needs to perform. Kickert obviously has been doing his job as well, but if he slacks off today, that's the end of the run for Avangard. For Mouse, you have all these stars, right? When we've seen Mouse's different iterations, and despite having all these great players they had, it's always, when it comes down to winning a very crucial game, they kind of come lacking because of the lack of a proper IGL, and that's what Karrigan's bringing to this team. And as long as he continues doing what he was doing yesterday, marshalling his troops and fracking pretty damn well as well, I think, yeah, these two players are going to be the crucial factors for their respective teams winning the game.
For me, I'm a little bit concerned about Mouse on Dust 2 because in their match against Valiance, it was 16-6 to Valiance. They didn't pick up a single round on their CT side. So what do they need to do better to actually bring this one home, Potter?
I think they had some weird setups. I think because they were falling behind so much on money, we saw Woxic mainly on a scout as opposed to that op. And so when it starts snowballing out of control for yourself like that and you don't have the money that you want to buy the guns and the utility to hold off your enemies, you need to be in better positions and better crossfires. And we didn't really see that on the CT side of Dust 2 for Mouse. So definitely I'd love to see Woxic in more advantageous positions over at that game helper side at Long A, or maybe sticking more towards the pit at Long A, or picking Cat. We saw a lot of operas picking Cat and taking aggressive opening kill positions. So something like this from Woxic I think will help out Mouse Sports and put some points on the board for themselves and build up that economy.
And similarly, I guess, for Avangard and Train, what do they need to do to beat Karrigan? Because he's going to probably outstrap them.
Yeah, he's probably going to outstrap them, but the thing for Avangard, what they have is that cohesion, because they've been playing together for a long time, along with the Mouse app, right? So on their T side, they're going to get tested. They're going to get tested by Karrigan. You're going to be seeing Preshow pushing up aggressively. You're going to see Woxic floating around with that op. The dual op setup is going to come into play. Karrigan's going to be playing towards Ivy. He's going to be an information guy. You're going to have Rob soloing inner. I think it's Rob who solos inner all the time, right? So they need to have an understanding of how the CT rotations work for Karrigan's squad, and they need to work on that particular thing. They need to try and abuse that, but the most important thing is that their trade game needs to be on point. I don't see a way to get outstrat Karrigan on that particular map, but if the trade game's on point, and if they're able to set up Kickert and Jaime to get those crucial kills and play the postmans right, I think they might stand a slight chance.
Well, it's your favorite time of the day, Blair. I need your predictions, please, sir.
Woo! This one's rough, but I will have to go with Mouse Sports.
And what is the score going to be?
I think it's going to go to the third map. I think it is going to be a third map. It's going to be 2-1 to Mouse.
Potter?
I'm going to have to go with Mouse Sports here as well. They really impressed me yesterday. We're going with Mouse Sports 2-1.
2-1. Okay, I am going to say that Mouse Sports are going to take this, and the reason is they let me ride their taxi, and it was the same rule yesterday when who did I side with? I sided with Windigo. How could I forget? And they did win that first match, so I feel a bit bad saying a team, because apparently I'm lucky. J'ai la chance.
You jinxed them yesterday.
So I did not jinx them. They got their first match, so it doesn't mean Mouse will win the final, but I do think they're going to win this. And I do think they're going to win 2-0. That is my prediction. But what were Twitch chat saying? Let's have a look. Oh. I would have thought there'd be more Avangard supporters.
I guess the Russians haven't woken up yet.
That's one of the biggest splits we've seen, right? Mouse was 78%. I can't remember who was higher. There was definitely an 80+ prediction.
I think one of the French teams versus Mouse. I think that was the one.
But when you look at those names, the team list, Mouse versus Avangard, Mouse just has a little bit more impact when you hear it through your ears.
A lot of history behind it. Like
Absolutely.
Imagine you're a casual CS viewer. Oh, Twitch is, they're on Twitch. The game's happening, and you see Mouse Sports. You probably don't know Avangard. Just a casual viewer of Counter-Strike, just watching majors, and you're probably going to go for Mouse. They have the name, they have the branding, they have the players, they have everything going for them.
Right, let's head over to our casters, because I really just need to ask one question to Harry. Harry, what do you think of my shirt game today?
I actually have one just like that, Frankie. So we could have actually clashed today if I'd bought it in, which would have been very awkward.
I thought you lent her. I thought she was borrowing
Yeah,
this.
that is quite awkward because I did steal it.
Right, now it's all making sense. It's all adding up.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm a cat burglar. That's why I dress like a big cat.
That's why I couldn't find it in your wardrobe this morning, Harry.
Why is everyone stealing my belongings? That's what I want to know.
And the thing is, Hugo, you actually live in Harry's wardrobe, so you're doing a terrible job guarding it.
I mean, officially, I don't know. Don't tell the council. I don't want to pay council tax.
Wow. What do you guys think of this matchup? Do you think it's going to be a close affair?
I think we're going 3 maps. I think Mousesports take it, but, you know, anything is possible, Harry.
Yeah, definitely, right? Mousesports have been looking so good on Train lately. It's really kind of becoming a staple map for this roster.
Yeah.
They're yet to lose it since forming this squad. You know, but Dust 2 has been a real hit and miss map for them, and namely miss, whereas Avangard, it's like, you know, it's been a home turf. So I think this is going to be a 3-mapper, but I also have to say Mousesports take it.
You know what? We're so boring, aren't we?
Yeah,
we
I
might
know.
be loud in our shirts, but we all agree. We really need some tension here. We'll fight over something in the green, and we'll get our player manager, our talent manager, Declan, to sort out some kind of fake war for us. Right, we're going to hand over to you boys because, let's face it, this could be quite a long one. So over to you. Enjoy. Drink some Monster Energy. You're probably going to need